Hey, friends, I'm Thea Charles, and you are listening to the Push or Pivot podcast. In this series, we discuss the path someone chooses when they are at a crossroads of their life. Do they push through the adversity, or do they stop, reassess, and pivot? This episode, we are talking to Nova Walton-Marriott, an author and empowerment coach. Welcome, Nova. I am so excited to hear from you today. I've been looking forward to this. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, yes. Awesome. Glad to hear that you're well. How about we start with you telling everyone a little bit about yourself?
Okay. My name is Nova Walton-Marriott. I'm an author and an empowerment coach. I was in 2019. I published a motivational memoir called The Sleeper Has Awakened, and it is a memoir about my life. Basically, I'm transparently telling about my experiences, trials and tribulations that I've gone through in life, and how I've worked through dysfunction and pain and trauma to find forgiveness and enlightenment and work toward fostering a better life for myself. I'm also the owner of a business called Hier Self, LLC.
Mm-hmm.
It is a multifunctional business dedicated to uplifting others. And I do empowerment coaching, career coaching, resume writing. What else? I have a series of motivational workshops, one on parenting, one on anti-bullying, and the other one on vision and self-awareness. And I'm in the preliminary stages. I just started, and I am hoping to offer my services to people that want to change their lives, want to do better, want to become more self-aware. And that's about it. Just living life and growing and getting better every single day.
That's really awesome. That's so cool. I didn't realize what exactly your book was about, that it was a memoir. And I love the name of your LLC, Here Self.
Thank you.
I think
Thank you
it's
so much.
wow, that's so really powerful and awesum. So
Well, it's actually pronounced Higher Self.
Higher Self. Okay.
Higher Self.
Higher Self. Even better. Can you tell us a little bit about a story that you have where you went through a crossroads?
Yes. 2016, my marriage broke up, and it devastated me and put me on my back. And I sat there for about 2.5 years, feeling sorry for myself, just being very comfortable sitting in the pain that I was in, just trying to figure it out, beating myself up, blaming myself, wondering what I did wrong, just suffering really badly. And 2.5 years later, I couldn't sit there anymore. I got tired of being hurt. I got tired of being sad, and I got tired of it hurting to smile. So I began to just do some soul searching, and I said, I need to seek some intervention because I really feel like I can't do this on my own. I was praying to God constantly just for assistance in overcoming this obstacle. And I started to seek out holistic measures of healing. I went back to yoga, went to acupuncture, and I sought the help of a life coach. And seeing her, I can honestly say, was the pivotal moment, because in speaking to her and giving her a gist of my background and the things that I had gone through, things that had been done to me, I ended up, she ended up putting it back on me.
Right.
It didn't go the way that I thought it would go.
I
thought I was going to go in and tell her my issues and give her all my woes, and, that she was going to validate it and just help me to be able to navigate my way. But most importantly, I thought that she was going to validate my feelings. And don't get me wrong, she did validate my feelings. Yep. And she did stress how wrong it was for the people that had put me through the things that they had put me through,
Mhm.
to do what they did. But she also stressed the importance for me to do the work,
Yeah.
and for me to realize that I had more control of my life, more power
Mhm.
than I was tapping into at that particular time. At first, I couldn't really receive what she was saying to me because I felt like she wasn't on my side,
Mhm.
and I was a little resistant.
Yeah.
She also recommended that I start to write in a journal.
Mhm.
And I told her I had been writing my feelings down, but I wasn't writing them. I was typing them in a Word document. And she stressed the importance to me of actually writing my words down with a pen, with my
Mhm.
hand.
Yeah.
That the energy flow differently when you do that. So I was a little resistant at first. She kept every time I saw her, she would give me this assignment: journal, journal, journal. And when you come back the next time, we're going to talk about what you journal. I would go back to my next appointment, and she would say, "Did you journal?" And I'd say, "No, I didn't."
Mhm.
So she, left me alone, and eventually I started to pick the pen up.
Yeah.
So as I began to journal, at first it was just words, just writing aimlessly on the paper, angry words, you know, depression, and I'm angry, and I don't understand, and just little phrases relevant to what I was feeling inside, but I wasn't really writing. I'm not going to say anything of substance, but I wasn't writing any paragraphs.
Got it.
Eventually, those words turned into paragraphs.
Mhm.
Started writing my feelings down, and before you know it, I couldn't stop.
Mm.
So I got to 2019, and well, the beginning of 2019, I started reading the content that I had written down. And as I read, I began to realize the feelings that I had inside. I began to become, of course, a lot more self aware. And ironically, I started to become a little more sympathetic to, or empathetic to, um, the people that had offended me. I
Mm.
started to kind of understand why they did the things that they did. And I started to understand, most importantly, that a lot of what they did wasn't about me.
Mm.
So I went to my father, and I sent my father a random text one day, just saying that I forgave him and I knew that he did his best.
Mhm.
And he was very taken aback. He didn't expect that. I sent him a text, and I sent my aunt a text as well.
Mhm.
And as we progressed in our conversation, he said, you should write a book. I
Mm.
think that you have something very important to say. And I said, huh, I put it in the back of my mind, but I didn't really visit it at that time.
Yep.
And the more I read the book, I said, I might have something. At the same time, I had reconnected with a friend of mine a couple of years before. We were, on Facebook, and I happened to speak to her on the phone. We were reconnecting, and I told her that I was considering writing a book,
Mhm.
but I didn't know how to go about doing it. And she had mentioned, I'm an author, and I'm also in the process of building a publishing company,
Wow.
and I can help you with that. I can
Mhm.
I can show you what to do. So I said, okay, that'd be great. Send me over the specifics, and we can talk about it. So she sent me over her plan, and um, her package was something I really couldn't pass up. And she helped me publish this book. But initially, she said, I have an editor that I can refer you to.
Uh-huh.
Would you like to speak to her? I said, yeah, I definitely like somebody to look it over, just to make sure I do have something on my hands.
Yeah.
So I got the services of the editor. She marked my book up. She fixed the grammatical errors. She did everything she needed to do to help me to get the book to where I needed to be.
Mhm.
And she came back and said, I laughed with you. I cried with you. I rooted for you. This book is going to help the person that cries themselves to sleep at night,
Mm.
thinking that there's no hope.
Right.
So I said, okay, so you think I have something? She said, you definitely have something. But if I could offer any advice, I would say, give more.
Mm.
So I was taken aback. I said, give more. I've given everything. I've talked about everything. And she said, no, I think you could talk about a little bit more. So
Mhm.
I started reading the book over and over again incessantly, this manuscript.
Right.
Started reading it over incessantly. And as I read, it started to jog my memory. I
Mhm.
started to remember more.
Right.
So I started to jot that down. And I was coming across the areas that could be deemed as vague. And
Uh-huh.
I started expanding on that. Before you know it, I couldn't stop writing. There were times that I was up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning just typing. I
Mm.
couldn't stop. Once I started and got in a good rhythm, I couldn't stop. When it was all said and done, I had 167 pages in content,
Wow.
and decided to also add a photo journal by recommendation of a friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
The photo journal basically is different emotions that I experienced over the course of my life depicted in picture.
Uh-huh.
I got a wonderful person, a yoga instructor of mine. Her name is Martha McAlpin, to help me to execute these yoga poses,
Uh-huh.
and it was the most rewarding session that I've ever had in my entire life. I got a photographer by the name of Lisa Fleet to help me with the photos,
Mhm.
and they came out extraordinary. I was uninhibited.
Mhm.
I felt powerful. I
Mhm.
felt strong, and it was definitely the best compliment to my book.
Wow.
And that's my story for
Wow.
the most part.
That's awesome. There's so many like moments of synchronicity, like hearing that you should write a book and then a publisher comes along. Like it's just like amazing how all
It
that came
was it was
together.
meant to be,
Meant to be.
written
I'm
in the
wondering
stars.
what led you to feel like you were ready for a life coach?
Because I knew that I had to be going in the wrong direction because my life was in too much turmoil.
Mm,
I felt at that particular time, I felt like nothing in my life was going right.
right.
I was in pain. I was in so much pain. I was getting up and going to work every single day, functioning
Hmm.
in my life because, of course, you have to pay your bills,
Right.
but I wasn't doing much of anything else. I was withdrawn. I was secluded. I came home, pulled the covers over my head, and went to sleep.
Mm,
6 o'clock at night. I didn't want to, I was hurting so bad, I didn't want to open my eyes every day.
right.
So I knew that this was definitely not a good quality of life, but I didn't know how to lift myself out of the funk.
Right.
So I did mention, what I was going through to a friend of mine, and she happened to be seeing this life coach.
Okay.
And she said, I'm seeing, this lady, and she seems to be helping me a lot. Maybe it could be a good option for you. So I went on the lady's website and I liked what I saw, and I set up a consultation. And when I got on the phone with her, she listened to my voice and basically told me what I was feeling. And it was very eerie for me
Right.
because how do you know? I've never seen you. I've never spoken to you. How do you know
Hmm.
that I'm suffering like this?
Right.
And when she said what she said, I was reduced to tears
Mm,
because I felt like, oh, finally somebody understands where I'm at. You
hmm.
know, I I don't even know this lady, and she just pinpointed exactly where I am in life.
Hmm.
She has to be the person that's going to help me with this.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up seeing her.
Wow. I'm also noticing like so much of your story seems to come from putting words to your feelings. Like being able to do the journaling sounds like was such a big pivotal moment. And then just talking to a coach and talking to your friend. And it's like when the words came out, the, the rewards came back.
Right.
It's
Well,
really,
the reward was self-awareness.
yes.
The reward was self-awareness. When I wrote my feelings down, I began to understand what I was feeling inside. When you're going through trials and tribulations, you're going through anger, you're going through pain, you just know you're in pain.
Right.
You don't necessarily identify with what you're going through and what the root causes are. You just know you're in pain and you're angry. Actually, seeing my words and my thoughts on paper gave me something tangible.
Hmm.
It was right in front of my face.
Right.
This is what you're going through. This is what you're feeling. This is what you're thinking. And I was in shock.
Mhm.
It was almost like I didn't even know I was feeling these things.
Right.
I know I'm in pain, but I didn't know I was feeling these things. I didn't know that I was still angry about things that happened to me at 7 years old.
Mhm.
The journal helped me with that. And then for it to turn into a book was very rewarding as well, because now I get to use this book to help others,
Mhm.
because I'm using it as the basis of my coaching.
Yeah. That's so powerful. So
Thank you.
powerful. Yeah. If you could give someone one piece of advice, what would it be?
Get out of the past. And the reason why I say that is because I spent so long in it.
Mhm.
I was so absorbed in the past, I couldn't see my hand in front of my face.
Mm.
I was just engrossed in what happened in the past, what people did to me, how I felt about what they did to me. Um, so busy being angry and defeated and feeling sorry for myself,
Mhm.
I was never in a position to find resolution. So
Mm.
if I could offer any advice, come out of the past. Don't concentrate on what other people did to you, because you can't change it.
Right.
Um, and honestly, they're not thinking about it.
Mhm.
Concentrate more on your behavior. Concentrate more on how you carry yourself in life, because believe it or not, there's something inside of you that probably prompted your decision making.
Yeah.
There's something deficient going on that prompted that decision making. So concentrate on becoming more self-aware, so you can identify your strengths, number one,
Mhm.
but you can also identify your deficiencies and
Right.
start building them up into strengths.
That's awesome.
But it really, at the end of the day, it's really about you, and bettering yourself and getting to know yourself and doing better for yourself. It's really, your life is really not about anybody else. It's about being the best you that you can be. So that's the best advice that I can offer. With with more self-awareness comes more emotional intelligence. I always say that.
Mhm.
Um, I was so angry and in fight or flight majority of my life,
Yep.
because I wasn't aware of myself. I didn't know myself. But the more I get to know myself, the more out of pocket, the less out of pocket I
Mhm.
get when people offend me or they hurt me.
Right.
I nowadays I try, and I'm not perfect. I still get angry,
Mhm.
but nowadays I take what people do more as information
Yeah.
than an offense. They're letting me know who they are.
Yes.
They're letting me know who they are.
Mhm.
It doesn't make any sense for me to fly off the handle, because they're not going to change. That's who they choose to be. So I'm definitely becoming a lot more emotionally intelligent because of it. And if I could impart another lesson, I would say, know that you have options.
Mm.
The biggest lesson that I've learned in life is that I had options. There were times that I felt stuck, my back against the wall, like I had to be in situations I didn't have a choice. I always had a choice.
Mm.
Always had a choice.
Uh-huh.
I always had options. A lot of times I stayed in situations that were comfortable.
Mm.
If it's taking me out of my comfort zone, I didn't want to deal with it. I don't want to do the work. But now in life, I'm all for doing the work.
Right.
So I'm looking for every positive option that I can possibly receive in life. I'm just receiving. I'm open to everything that life has for me now. And I was never like that before. I was ambitious I was ambitious in career.
Mhm.
Um, but when it matters of the heart, not so much. I wasn't kind to myself when it came to matters of the heart. I put everybody in front of myself.
Mm.
I didn't feel protected, didn't feel safe a lot of times growing up,
Okay.
didn't feel like anybody cared to protect me. So I transfer that into trying to save other people. And in the midst of me trying to save other people, I totally diminished myself. I totally depleted myself. And when I would get hurt by people, I didn't have anything left to replenish.
Right.
It was never good at self-care. I'm getting a lot better at that now.
Mm-hmm.
I was very self-sabotaging. Just everybody and everything came before me, except for career. Career and education was the one thing that I've always stayed on top of and had control over. That was my niche.
Yes.
Very ambitious, went after what I wanted in education and career. But I have to say, there's some areas of career that I failed to come out of my comfort zone as well, because I definitely feel like in career I should be a lot further along than I am right now. But in some areas that has something to do with me not being as emotionally intelligent as I should be. Me not understanding that sometimes it's not your time. That's pretty much it. So to get out of the past, become more self-aware, work on you, because that leads to emotional intelligence, and always know that you have options. That's what I would need to impart to the listeners.
And I think that's just awesome. And it really goes back to what you were saying about knowing your strengths and where you have opportunities of growth. So that's just, thank you so much for this. I think that
You're welcome.
you're doing awesome work. And I know
Thank you.
it's going to touch someone. I mean, I'm learning a lot, and just another way of thinking about how to take care of yourself, and that whole, like, put your oxygen mask on first, because you can't help someone else if you're not.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, first of all, can you say your book again so that we all can
Yes.
look it up, because I want to read it.
Yes. It's called The Sleeper Has Awakened.
Sleeper Has Awakened.
Yes, it's available on Amazon, and it's also available on my website. My website is www.hierself, HIERSELF.com. If you scroll to the bottom of the website, there's a tab that says Buy Now. Click the tab, and it'll take you directly to Amazon to purchase the book. If you click on the mock-up of the book, it will take you to an area where you can buy the audiobook for all you audiobookers, because there seem to be a lot of audiobookers out here, so I recorded an audiobook.
Awesome.
And I recorded my own audiobook, so
good.
that was definitely an awesome experience. And that's it. And while you're on the website, you'll be able to see the services that I offer and how to contact me. It's also linked to my social media, so you'll get to see my Instagram page and all the quotes that I put up, and so on and so forth. So everything's right there on the website. So it's www.hierself.com, and the book is The Sleeper Has Awakened.
Beautiful, Nova. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this.
What did you take away from Nova's story? How can you take your power back? Do you have a story to tell about a crossroad in your life? I'd love to hear it. Contact me on Instagram at pusherpivot, or email hello@thearenel.com. That's TheaRenel.com. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and join me next time on the Push or Pivot podcast.